Bradford City continue their 2024-25 FA Cup campaign with a trip to fellow League 2 side Morecambe FC for a potential spot in the third round, and in today's video you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this match. With our game against Accrington Stanley being postponed at the weekend, we have dropped down to 10th in the League 2 table. After 16 matches, we've got 6 wins, 5 draws and 5 defeats, scoring 21 goals and also conceding 17, which leaves us on a positive 4 goal difference and 23 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a draw, a loss, a draw and a win. Then last couple of matches then been a 1-0 defeat at home to Rotherham United in the EFL Trophy. We were much the better side in this game, but never really threatened Rotherham all too much, and their goal that they scored with their only shot on target was a very disappointing one in terms of how we did go about conceding it. We also had a 1-1 draw away at Colchester. Conceding in the 99th minute is never good from a set play as well, one of the smallest players on the pitch to have a free header. Shocking goalkeeping from Sam Walker, but if you look at the stats, we didn't really deserve to win the match, in all honesty. It just was nice once again to see Andy Cook on the score sheet. We also had a 1-0 defeat away at Fleetwood Town. First half we were absolutely shocking. They scored a penalty from a pretty clumsy challenge from Andy Cook. The second half we dominated, we battered, but again, just like that clinical edge, and we didn't really test their goalkeeper enough, in all honesty, so that one was again another disappointing defeat. We did, however, have a 3-1 win at home to Aldershot Town in the first round of the FA Cup. In the first half we were pretty poor, but second half we managed to turn our performance around, and we obviously then turned the result of the match around. We dominated the game for the large part in the second half, 17 shots to their 6 on target to their 2. We do have a lot of shots in home matches, but a lot of them, a lot of the time, are not on target. And then just before that one, we had a 2-1 defeat at home to Doncaster Rovers, our unbeaten run coming to an end in this game, and we haven't won in the league for an absolute long time. I know this is an FA Cup match. Obviously we drew 1-1 against Morecambe in the league earlier on in the season, but in this one against Doncaster it was a very even game, but the first kind of 20-25 minutes of the second half, after the first 5 minutes of the second half, if that makes sense, they were brilliant. They got their 2 goals and we really struggled to get back into the game despite scoring through Andy Cook. Who else was it going to be other than him? Compared though to Morecambe FC, they're not currently going down without a fight as they sit 23rd in the League 2 table. After 17 matches, they've got 3 wins, 4 draws and 10 defeats, scoring 17 goals and conceding the 29, which leaves them on a minus 12 goal difference and 13 points. The last couple of matches have been a win, a loss, a win, a loss and a loss. Big credit to Derek Adams and his side there. A lot of people wrote them off and thought they were comfortably going to be relegated. I predicted them to stay up this season. They are currently in the relegation zone on goal difference, but they're not a million miles away from climbing out of it, with 6 points picked up out of their last possible 9 available. Swindon only picking up 2 out of their last possible 15. There is certainly a potential where Morecambe could find themselves out of the relegation zone. In terms of their last couple of matches then, they had a 3-2 win away at Swindon. I watched like the last 30 seconds of this game, and Swindon, yeah, they didn't really show up, did they, to be honest with you. Morecambe, they got their 2 early goals, then Swindon got back into the game. Hallam Hope, the former Swindon man, scoring the winner in the end, and if you look at the stats, Morecambe probably did just about deserve to win that game by the 1 goal. They also had a 1-0 defeat at home to Port Vale. They had a lot of shots in this game, but none on target. You're obviously not going to win football matches if you're not having a single shot on target. Port Vale, they had a lot of shots, not many on target, but Ethan Chislett scored quite late on in that game to break the hearts, I'm sure, of many Shrimps fans. They also had a 2-1 defeat at home to Carlisle in the Football League Trophy. I watched quite a lot of this game, and Morecambe were good for the first half, but them 2 goals that they conceded were really poor, kind of identical in the way that they were cut open and the ball flashed across goal. I think it was Ross Millen was at fault for one of the goals where it was just terrible defending, but I'm sure in the Football League Trophy, I think they'd already qualified, so it didn't really matter all too much. They had a 2-1 win away at Harrogate. James Daly scoring an 86th minute equaliser, but then Harvey McAdam, I think is how you pronounce his name, scored a 96th minute winner. Again, Morecambe, some of their wins this season have been in dramatic fashion, and some of the results that they've had have been dramatic. They're certainly going on a rollercoaster ride this season, but I'm sure they were absolutely delighted with that one, despite probably not deserving to win the game on the statistics. And in the FA Cup first round, they had a pretty comfortable 2-0 win away at Worthing. Jordan Slew and Reece Williams scoring in that game. They actually had not really much of the football, but they got the job done done, and now that brings up to present day into the second round. Before we do go any further though with today's video, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 50 likes on today's video? That'd be massively appreciated. And don't forget to get your score predictions and starting 11 in down in the comment section down below. In terms of my formation for this game then, I would stick with the 3-1-4-2 system. I think that is proven to be our best formation that we have played under Graham Alexander, so I definitely would stay with that. We're not a million miles away from seeing 5 players return to first team action, which is massive news for us. The likes of Aidan Baldwin, Kieran Kelly, Alex Patterson, Anthony Sarcevic and Lewis Richards as well are all back in full training. I do believe Kieran Kelly's now taking part in a little bit of training, but I do believe this game will come a little bit too soon for a lot of them players because they have been out for a number of months. You look at Aidan Baldwin, he's been out for 3 months. Alex Patterson, he's been out for 2 months. Sarcevic, nearly 4 months. Obviously, we know Joe Adams is going to be done for the season, but Lewis Richards, his shoulder injury against Colchester doesn't seem to have been too bad. So in terms of my starting 11 then for this game, we're looking at a very similar squad to what we've seen in the last couple of months. So in goal, I would go with Sam Walker. I do think he has been pretty poor for the large part so far this season. He's cost us a number of goals. I think he should do better with the Colchester goal, which is obviously the last time that he played, which feels like a long time ago now, and it's not the first time this season where he has cost us a goal and hasn't really done much to win us any points. So hopefully he can get back to his best in this game, but I do certainly think goalkeeper is a position we need to be recruiting in January. In terms of my back three then, at right centre back, I would go with Czech Diabate. I think we need to stop the Brad Halliday experiment now as a right centre back. I don't think he's awful playing there. He played, I think, left wing back against Rotherham in the EFL Trophy, but I'd like to see a proper centre half come back in and playing. Hopefully for future weeks we can see Aidan Baldwin work its way back into this side, because Diabate recently, even him, it hasn't been amazing, but I certainly don't think he's done anything which would say no, you absolutely cannot start him for this game. In the middle, I would go with Neil Byrne. I don't think Paul Huntington was too bad against Rotherham, but Neil Byrne I think is a little bit better for me. I think in terms of defensive ability, they were very even, but Neil Byrne is much better on the ball. We saw Paul Huntington try and do a couple of them Neil Byrne diagonal passes, and they just constantly were going straight out of play. So Neil Byrne would definitely start for me in the middle. And at left centre back, I would go with Jack Shepherd. Scored the late equaliser in this fixture in the league a couple of weeks ago now, and whilst did come off with what looked to be a bit of a hamstring injury against Rotherham in the EFL Trophy, nothing has been mentioned, I don't believe, in the pre-match pressers as to why he wouldn't be fit for this game. If he is unavailable, then I think you put Diabate left centre back and Halliday right centre back. As my holding midfielder, I would go with the captain, Richie Smallwood. His starting streak for Bradford City did come to an end in that match against Rotherham, and I thought Corey Evans again put on a really good display, and if he was to start in this game, I don't really have any complaints. I'd certainly think Corey Evans has done enough to warrant a longer term contract with Bradford City. I would personally do until the end of this season with the option of a further year. We know David Sharp has come out and said that he wants to sort out contracts earlier, so I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I would certainly expect Evans to get a longer term deal and Paul Huntington to be released in January. But Richie Smallwood, I don't think has been amazing for quite a while, to be honest with you. I thought he was better against Colchester, but we know the heights that Smallwood can hit, and he hasn't hit them for a long time, so fingers crossed he can get back to his best in this game. As my right wing back, I've gone with Jay Ben. I do think he has been quite poor in the last couple of league matches, but I'd still rather see him start a right wing back over Brad Halliday. Halliday hasn't done enough to keep himself in the side, and Jay Ben, while he hasn't been amazing, he's not been terrible, he's not costing us, he's just not kind of providing that attacking output that we know that he can have, so fingers crossed he gets back to his best in this game. In terms of my two number 8s then, firstly I would go with Jamie Walker. I thought against Colchester he was back to one of his better performances, certainly recently anyway, where he hadn't really done much, but in the second half against Colchester I thought he battled really well, was defending very nicely, putting in a lot of challenges, and whilst offensively wasn't amazing, I feel like defensively he offered us quite a lot in that game, so I would definitely start him in this one. And partnering him, I would go with Bobby Poynton. Again, he has a part to play in the goal we score against Colchester. I don't think he played against Rotherham. He might have come on off the bench, but off the top of my head, I can't remember him playing in the game, or maybe he just didn't really do much in it. Either way, I can't really remember much from that Rotherham game. Couldn't even tell you the starting 11. But Poynton, we know what he can offer. Again, with Patterson and Sarcevic not currently available, we're kind of very limited in what we can do with the team. And obviously at left wing back, you're going to have to play Clark Adore there for me. I know Graham Alexander might go with Brad Halliday. I don't understand why Alexander Alexander against Rotherham, put Clark-Ador right wing back and Brad Halliday left wing back. That made sense to no one. Your wing backs are giving you the width and then they were having to come inside onto their stronger foot. Didn't really make sense to me. I would go Clark-Ador though at left wing back, which obviously means Walker and Poynton have to play in the middle because we've got no other number 8s who can play then. And we know it's a position that we are looking to recruit in January. But Clark-Ador as a left wing back, I have no real qualms with that. When you've got Jack Shepherd at left centre back, he should be able to deal with 1v1 defending. As much as Ador's not going to bring you much defensively, offensively, I do think he does bring a little bit in that position. As my two strikers then, firstly, obviously Andy Cook. The amount of goals that he's scored so far this season, I don't see a reason why you would ever drop him. All of the other strikers can't really hit a barn door, so it's more about a partner for Andy Cook. We need to get rid of at least 3 of them in January. Hopefully that's Smith and Oliver permanently, maybe Kavanagh out on loan. I would still keep Ollie Sanderson, and that is who I would partner Cook with in this game, just because he's the only one out of all of our other options who've proven that he can score a couple of goals so far this season. And while he hasn't done it for a while, he does have that ability about him. Tyler Smith hasn't fired so far this season. Kavanagh's only goal has come against the National League side, and Oliver's only goals have come against the National League side and a very rotated Mansfield side in the AFL Trophy. So I expect a lot of business to be done in January, especially in them forward positions, because that is where we have been struggling so far this season. On the bench then for me, that would leave Colin Doyle, Brad Halliday, Paul Huntington, Corey Evans, Tyler Smith, Callum Kavanagh and Verden Oliver. The players currently unavailable are Callum Johnson, Aidan Baldwin, Kieran Kelly, Lewis Richards, Alex Patterson, Anthony Sarcevic, Joe Adams and Tyreek Wright. So the players who miss out in through selection will be Zach Cady, Gabriel Wadsworth and Harry Ibbotson. A quick question that I want to ask you though, if you were Graham Alexander, would you put Harry Ibbotson on the bench, or would you even give him an opportunity to start in one of these games? We saw him on the bench against Rotherham in the AFL Trophy and Alexander chose the more senior players, but surely Ibbotson can't be any worse than Smith, Oliver, Kavanagh for example, can he? But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Don't forget to get your score predictions in as well down in the comment section down below, and I'll see you very soon for another one.